Hey, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, we've had a very hot day. Almost didn't think I was going to make it through the day today, actually. It was so unbelievably hot that by midday we were ready to expire on a grease spot. I'm sure you know how that feels. Well, anyway, we were at the hospital when that happened, and we took that boy, Cardo, and we got him an x-ray. And while we were doing that, we bounced back and forth between the start of our road, which was supposed to have an early start on the grader today. That didn't happen. So we felt a little bit, well, you'll have seen the video on it. But anyway, we decided that we would go and track down the grader and see if it's where it's supposed to be, because we keep going there and we keep asking about the grader, and they always say it's in Takuna or somewhere like that, some other foreign sounding name. You know what it's like when you're in the Philippines, all these damn foreign sounding names. And anyway, they said yes, it's in Takuna, and so Beth suddenly said, do you want to go to Takuna and see if the grader's there? So I don't know where it is. So I said, oh, of course we can. Oh, anyway, so we set off, and for as much as Beth knows about where it is, she said it's a right turn here. So we're driving along, we take the right turn as she tells us, and we follow the road. Well, the thing about roads in the mountain is that they go up and down and left and right and over here and over there, and then you'll find a little strip of concreted road, and then that goes for about 200 yards, and then it suddenly collapses into a dirt road again, and you pass through this little barangay and that little barangay, and people who are looking at the damn foreigner and thinking, what's that person doing here, because they haven't really seen many foreigners. Well, anyway, we went on, and this is what I love about living here, because it doesn't really matter to me what we do. I mean, I must be a terminally happy person, if there is such a thing, if that's obviously not a contradiction of terms, but we'd had the disappointment of finding that the grader was not there. So as soon as the grader is not there, I immediately get the comment of some sub who likes to think in negative terms, and he said, "It's the Philippines. I won't believe it until I see it there." And I thought, maybe he's right. So we went as if trying to catch a naughty schoolboy who wasn't at school when he's supposed to. And as we got further and further out, I began to doubt that we would have the gas to get back again. But this is the Philippines, and you can always get a Coke bottle full of gas and tip it in the tank, or two, and that's what we did. So we safeguarded ourselves like that. And the reason that you can do that is, in these recycled bottles, Coke bottles, is because everybody's on a motorcycle. So you're going through, this is the thrill of being here, which never leaves me, because I keep generating that initial happiness, that initial, I don't know, magical, jaw-dropping thing that you have when you go to another country, and everything is so different. I mean, and everything is so different here. We were going through small barangays, which is small townships. I mean, tiny. You've seen some of the little townships that we've been very recently, because we did a video, I think today actually, yesterday we did a video, and I did a little walk round that tiny village that is perched, another tiny village that's perched on the top of a slightly flatted off hill, and we're building house number 31 there. Well, we went there, and even that was magical. When we got there, the lady whose house we're building, the lady for whom we are building a house, isn't that very proper? She was there, and she had the thick pole, which is like this, and she was beating it down. I don't know what they call those things, but they have a little hollowed out, it's a perfect half sphere shape, and they put food into that, and they beat it, and she was beating up a special mix, which was for snacks of the work team, and she was doing it the same as they've done it possibly for thousands of years. They were probably doing this in the time of Christ, which, when you think that I've taken an image of that happening with a digital camera or a phone, which even 30 years ago hardly existed. You think about that, and of how these little flashbacks in time. If I took that photo and took out the only other modern day item that was in that picture was a 5-gallon drum of water which she was using. Now, the 5-gallon drum was in white plastic, which probably would not have been available, say, 100 years ago. And if I took that picture and made it sepia, which I can do on my phone quite easily, that photograph would have looked as if it was of an image that was 100 years old, because nothing's really changed. And as I say, this is the magical thing about living here for me. It's not for everybody, believe me. It's not for everybody, just the heat alone. And right now it's relentless, as I said. Well, the magic for me is that we're able to drive in relative comfort in a 4x4, which actually you need to get to some of these places. And we're able to witness these time warp images, these time warp tableaus, if you like, of people pretty well operating as their parents and grandparents would have operated. Now you'll see this on the video. We took a couple of videos of the trip up there to find the grader, which we never did. We stopped finally in one little barangay, and of course it's the Philippines. Everybody comes out to help you. As soon as they get over, well, at least one person will get over the nosebleed. A nosebleed, for those who don't know, is when a Filipino doubts his or her confidence or ability to speak English. So they have what they call a nosebleed. It's a play on words. Well, somebody came out who apparently was a barangay official, and he said, "Yes, the grader. Yes, it's just down there, and this is the way that it goes." Well, we did go on then to look for the grader, and it took us way, way, way out into the hills, mountains, which was wonderful. Now, I think if I'd been possibly in the West, in my old haunt in the West, I probably would have been spitting bullets by then, because, well, we're supposed to start the road today, the grader is supposed to be there today, and it's not there, and why have we been let down? There was nothing wrong with our money, was it? And so on. You go into it, and soon you're frothing at the mouth, and somebody's suggesting that you should have rabies shots. Well, it didn't matter, because the incredible scenery was just so beautiful. We passed through areas where we were on a narrow strip of land that was between two huge, beautiful lakes, And I don't know, there's so much greenery, the trees are so abundant, the grass is green, everything is green, despite the fact there hasn't been very much rain lately, we're happy to say. So I seem to be able, I'm happy to say, I can get through the day without having, well, wait a minute, we were supposed to do this, and be all disappointed because we didn't. Because whatever turns up, and we always say that we never know how our videos are going to turn out because we don't know what's going to happen. Well, it's good. No matter what, it's good. And if you can have a sense of humour about these things, like you're out in the country, the idea of a gas station is a little bit like saying there should be a UFO parked on the next turn. It's not going to happen. There are very few houses. They're looking at me as if they've never seen anything quite like me. Mind you, that probably would be no matter where I was going, wouldn't it? But it just feels so good. Now, when people, just to touch on something that Beth did a little while ago, a few days ago, she did, could you live on $500 a month, a pension of $500 a month, so an income of $500. Well, we actually did know a friend of ours who at one time, he's doing much better now, but at one time that was his income, was $500. He had a life. He did have a life. Did he have money set back or set by for emergencies and all of that? Probably not. And maybe that caused him a little stress. But compared to the stress that people describe to me when they talk about wanting to come out and enjoy a simple life, it makes me remember the stress that I had. And for those, I get some vitriolic poison pens who make comments. We don't leave them up there for any longer than we have to. We just delete them and block the person eventually. But they say, yeah, well, you couldn't live on this or that or that. You couldn't live on it. So you got to come out here. You can't even live in your own country. No, it's true. With what I get from my pensions, one pittance from the UK, and that's not a criticism of the UK, nor is my disgraceful pension that I get from the US a criticism of the US. It's just a fact. And probably if I had been a little more high power, if I had been a little more ambitious and hard-working, or thought about these things, or more carefully prepared, I would be enjoying a much higher standard of living now. But the standard of living that I have is okay for me. Now, maybe I'm not very ambitious, maybe I don't have very high standards. Yes, that's probably true, but I don't worry about those things. And now I lead a life which is pretty well, stress is pretty well absent from it. And for all that I wash outside by pouring cold water over myself from a bucket, from a faucet to the bucket, and into a scoop, a pan, and I tip the water over myself, and I shiver at first, and I do it, and I look around at a blue sky and have a little sort of mesh enclosure so nobody can see my incredibly beautiful body. I don't want to start turning everybody on. It's a terrible responsibility. So I'm not seen, I have a measure of privacy which is okay for me, and it's okay. I feel good on it, and I feel happy. And for anybody who says, it's not for me, I agree. It's not for you. If you say it's not for you, it certainly is not for you. We've had maybe 2 people who have come to visit us. Now, bear in mind, I'm not bragging, and yet I am, that we are the most visited, hospitable, I think, channel on YouTube. We are the most visited vloggers on YouTube. We've had countless people that have come and stayed with us. Some have stayed for a month, some have stayed for a week, and a couple have been glad to get the hell out of here after 3 or 4 days. But I think that that was only 2, and they one said he would never come back to the Philippines again. I don't know whether that was the cooking here or the cold water bathing. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I think he had a good time, and he was here for several months. I won't reveal his name. But anyway, he said, no, I won't come here. I won't come again. And he didn't particularly enjoy our guest house, but everybody else really has, and they've fitted in with the family, because when you come, you don't get served your meals. There isn't a little kitchen. In fact, I mentioned to our Australian adventurer friend Tracy, I'm thinking of putting a little kitchen in here, and a little worktop, and a microwave, and you know, and an electric kettle, so you can make. He said, no, don't do that. He said, don't do that, because that means that whoever comes here will not be in with the family. And for our scruffy little place that we have here, and our some 40-plus-year-old house of nanais, where the concrete floor is uneven and you'll trip if you're not careful, and the beams are made for smaller Filipinos, so you'll bang your head on them, and when you look at them you wonder how they're holding the house up. You come and you are welcomed into that, and we don't tidy up, and we don't do anything that we don't normally do, and everybody that's come has said, we don't want to do the sightseeing. Some we've taken to the Chocolate Hills, and a couple of other things, the zip line and stuff like that, which is fun wherever you are. But mainly they just come round and they give out rice, or they hand clothing in from Mr. and Mrs. O, or I don't know, one of the wonderful subscribers who send us boxes, and we take them and we put them to work. And somebody actually said that, I think it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, he said, I like the way that Terence puts everybody to work. And probably that's very true, but that's how people gain a life-changing experience. They come around and they see people who are cheerful in spite of pretty well having nothing, and we go around and we bring a little bit of random kindness to those people. Feels wonderful to me. So that's my little ramble. I had some other subjects that I wanted to talk about, but I'll do it on another video. Thanks for watching. This is a foreigner in the Philippines, waffling away as usual. Bye for now.